Here we go again. What day is it? Hold on a minute. What day is it? It is Wednesday, September 24th. How did that happen? How did that happen? Lots going on. Lots going on in Canada. I have to make a couple quick mentions here, right? You guys, to my fellow Canadians residing here in Canada, stand under the thumb of the United Kingdom. Currently, headlines are that the tyrannical government of Canada is now confiscating more guns. They're doing directly to confiscate them, and apparently they're starting in the tiniest province of Prince Edward Island, almost like a test to see what's going to happen. Anyway, pretty nasty. So if you are a lawful firearm owner, don't give them up. Don't be stupid. Do not give them up. All right? My message of encouragement to all you Canadians possibly about to be affected by that. I'm grinding my teeth right now. Also, many people know by now, a lot of American news channels have been covering this story. I don't think I've mentioned it here yet, but there's a small town of Edgemont in British Columbia, and there's an ostrich farm there. And for whatever reason, somebody, some psychopath in the Department of Food and Health, or whatever it's called, another branch of the tyrannical government of Canada, they decided that all these ostriches needed to be destroyed. And they tested them. Apparently, they were tested last December or something. There's nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with them, but the power monger who's in that position probably got so insulted because their commands aren't being followed. It's become a global issue now. And apparently there is an army, I saw the photographs, there's an army of RCMP officers there now to force compliance to kill all the ostriches. I can imagine what it must be like to be an RCMP police officer in Canada today. It's got to be one of the most cringeworthy positions you could ever have right now, as all you are is the tool to use against your community. Not all across the board, obviously. There's a lot of police officers doing good out there, but there's a shit pile of officers out there doing some amazingly embarrassing and shameful things to their communities and the people they grew up with, if they did. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when they flew in those UN troops. At least they had to fly in UN troops to beat the shit out of law-abiding Canadians in Ottawa a couple years ago. But it sure is sad. Somebody on a page for this ostrich farm, listen to this one. The CFIA threatened the ostrich farm with a $200,000 fine for each bird they dare to test. They have about 400 birds, so that means roughly $80 million fine if they test their animals and prove they're healthy. So they haven't been able to test them. The CFIA refuses to test the birds. The ostriches have been healthy for more than 200 days by all accounts, and extensive video evidence of frolicking ostriches. As far as I can gather, they haven't been tested since December. Wow, right? Isn't that amazing? Just to prove a point that, no, you will bow down to me in my position of authority over your ass here in Kazakhstan. If you don't, well, I'm going to make an example out of you, and I'm going to annihilate your entire business and income anyway, even though your farm animals are healthy. Just another chapter up here in Kazakhstan, another chapter. I couldn't imagine what it must be like to be one of those RCMP officers that took the orders to go to that rural property and enforce this blatant example of tyranny. It's disgusting, isn't it? Isn't it amazingly disgusting? This world is so messed up right now. Holy shit. Holy shit. I wonder what country right now is actually rocking it out. I've asked that before. Like, what country right now is actually rocking it out? You know, I wonder what country in the world right now is geared up for the people, by the people, no matter what. I'm very, very curious to know the answer to that one. What else had a funny thought the other day? Remember everybody saw that video of Bill Gates. Where was he bracking off about that? Was it the WHO? Organization, big meeting or something, and they have him on video saying, trying to figure out how they can successfully get the population of the world down. Got him on video saying that. I can't believe he's not swinging from the branch as soon as he walked out of that room myself. But anyway, if anybody has a direct line to that piece of shit, I wonder if anybody can ask him this question. Since, you know, the COVID thing, the vaccination deaths, was it millions and millions and millions of people worldwide have all lost their lives now. I would like to know what the quality of Bill Gates' life is now that we're missing all those millions and millions and millions of innocent souls who've left the planet to, obviously went in favor of his quest to get the world population down. Well, it's happened. Maybe we'll throw in the lives that have died in wars this past 3 years, too. And I'd like to know, excuse me, how his quality of life has improved since all these souls went missing from the face of the earth. Valid question, right? Because he showed a big concern in diminishing the world population. Fuck. Holy shit. One more quick mention. Did you guys see that protest, that display that Tommy Robinson put together in the United Kingdom? Millions of people filled the streets. I was like, watching that, I was like, holy shit, is that freaking awesome. Is that ever awesome? That was an absolute clear display that that crowd of people could control the entire country, which they should be in control of, allegedly. We are in control. Right? The government works for us, right? But that was just a great example of what the people can do, and they should have kept that ball rolling and just ousted all those criminals. Right? What are they going to do? Kill off 3/4 of the population of one city or whatever it was? Millions of people? That's a blatant example of what you can do. Right? What we can do. Man, what a show of power. But you got to keep the ball rolling. You know what I mean? You got to keep that ball rolling. Everything, too, when it comes to the tyrannical pieces of shit that are doing these things to us, the reason they do it to us is because it doesn't hurt. That's the only reason. You know, whoever this person is back here in Canada, in British Columbia here, whoever the person is who's responsible for showing that display of power, which is all it is, that person is going through with this because they can. Because they can. They're doing the absolute wrong thing. It's criminal what this person's doing. And they're doing it because it doesn't hurt them. And they're going to make a display of dominance and power, and you're going to bow down to me, and you're going to do what I say no matter what. Period. Really? That person probably needs a visit, wouldn't you think? Right? It has to hurt criminals, bad people. It has to hurt them to prevent them from doing bad things. It has to hurt. It has to cause them great discomfort as a result of them doing bad things. If it doesn't hurt, they're going to keep doing it. Right? Prove me I'm wrong. Prove me I'm right. Oh, another quick mention, fully off topic of my one little opening rant. We've had some odd shit going on around here, and I know this doesn't mean much to many, and this is going to mean a lot to some. We feed our horses twice a day in the barn, in the hay barn. They got their own stalls, and they come in, and we have the square bales of hay are separate from them. And I fed them last evening. Sarah went and gave them a snack about an hour before dinner time, just a slight small one because they were being a little whiny. And I went in there this morning to feed, and blatantly in my face, in the hay, sitting there, is 2 eagle feathers. Right here. These 2 eagle feathers were, you see that all right? These 2 eagle feathers were basically placed in my barn. A little odd. Second I walked in there, huh? What are these doing in here? And we don't have any neighbors on this side anymore. There was a teenage autistic boy and his mother were living next door. They haven't lived here, I think, for 6 or 7 months. And the owner of that property is redoing the whole property. So there's nobody here. There's nobody there. And nobody comes on the property, that's for sure. And found that quite odd this morning. So then what did I do? Well, Sarah goes to her exercise class in the mornings, and she just pulled up when I was coming up from the chicken coop. And I said, I found 2 frickin' eagle feathers in the hay barn, in the hay stall this morning, like blatantly laid there. She's like, what? Really? I found an eagle feather in the chicken coop yesterday. Like, you what? Seriously? I go, was it fresh? She goes, yeah. I was like, how'd this get in here? All we do is open up that one little flip-up door for the chickens to go in and out right during the day, and then the other time she'll go and open up the big door and go in and collect eggs. I'm pretty sure that, and I've got the entire chicken coop netted off with net with holes that big so that nothing can dive down and get the chickens. There you go. Anybody have something to say about that in the know? Throw it down in the comment section below. But that just went down. What does it mean? Somebody's going to have something to say. Share what they feel it means, and I'm interested to hear. All right? Now moving along. Who needs to be heard? We have a screenshot of a comment. When was this? From September 5th. From Frater Kel. One word. Frater Kel. Fraterkel. Thank you for the interesting stories. I'm a 62-year-old man born in Oklahoma and now living somewhere in Dallas, Texas. My family's from eastern Oklahoma. My great-grandmother's Bible lists the births of 5 of her 7 children as being fathered by Stick Indian. No name known. Wow, my great-grandmother's Bible lists the births of 5 of her 7 children as being fathered by Stick Indian, no name known. He would show up in early spring and stay at her cabin until the leaves changed in the fall. He would not wear clothing or sleep in the cabin. After the 5th child was born, he stopped coming around. She assumed a moonshiner shot him for stealing liquor since he usually had alcohol on his breath. The Choctaw preacher heard of her situation and that her people, the Cherokee, were shunning her and the kids. So he married her and adopted the kids and moved them to Arkansas. A nice guy. Half English and half Choctaw himself. Only one of our family members is big. My niece is over 6 feet tall with bright red hair. All of my cousins with Stick Indian blood are stocky, nearly unbreakable, naturally muscular folk who are very tough, and broken bones are nearly unheard of among us. I'm the only one with psychic abilities. As far as I know, and mine are like a broken AM radio that turns on randomly for a song or two every few weeks. Not very useful, honestly. I have encountered my wild relatives multiple times in my life, usually when I camp 3 nights in the same spot. And as a child, I would find toys would disappear at night from my sandbox, and an unfamiliar one would be in its place in the morning. After a few days, it would be replaced with another one. I really enjoyed the big wheel and the Tonka dozer toys, as I recall. Once there was a flat-footed footprint in the sand approximately 20 inches long. I've never felt in danger from them. However, they have their downside. Disappearing tools and such that come home rusty and are left in obvious random spots are still a common occurrence even now that I live in Dallas. I hope this helps someone. My experience has been pretty good with the wild folk, and I hope the same for everyone. Whoa! How's that for a comment? I'd love to hear more from you, Mr. Freighter Cal. I'd love to hear more from you. I'm sure everybody would here too if you'd like to share more. We're all over it. Very, very interesting. Another screenshot comment sent in by NG311.2. There's a lot of stuff happening up on the Utah-Wyoming border, especially around China Meadows, Christmas Meadows, and Meek's Cabin. We have a family cabin up there, and I found a footprint and been screamed at for over 5 minutes while at our cabin with my 2 brothers. We all ended up emptying our firearms toward the screaming and haven't heard anything since. Still know they're in the area, though. Wow. Email me. Share my story at howtohunt.com. I want to hear about it. All right. That sounds like quite the episode. And I would be curious to hear what happened that night. If you want to share, you can come on here and talk to me in person if you want. Emptied their guns toward the screams. That must have been pretty frickin' alarming of an experience for you guys to be compelled to do that move. All right, here's another voice being heard through the comment section somewhere. Screenshot sent to me. And the name is Stephen Gispansky. One word. That's how, with your handles on YouTube, I guess it's always one word. So it's Stephen Gispansky. Gispanski. 4180. Hello, Steve. How's it going this year? Great, I hope. It's going pretty good. I hope it's going well with you, too. Listening to John tell his story made me sit up higher in my chair. Stuff I have heard John say is some stuff I have ran across by my house here on the St. Johns River. They are everywhere. I have pictures of my wife and grandson out in Arizona with something above them in the background of the mountains. Then, me, the first time I seen one. I was young and my grandparents fish camp. I was 7. And this creature stood between 8 to 10 feet easily. I had a lot of sleepless nights for years to come. It is strange that we have no idea what is in the deep woods, because most people that go into the deep woods, some of them never come out. There could be a million reasons why, but no matter how good you might be as a top-notch investigator, you are not there, and a guess is as good as it gets. All the years I've been hunting and fishing, I've seen some amazing things. I can't believe, but then I do believe. I've seen stuff with my own eyes. Some people laugh and some don't. Steve, it is what it is. Anyhow, it was great getting something off the sleeves, but I hope we could talk one day or not. Talk later, Steve Spader. Oh, okay. Well, Steve, send me an email, man. I'll talk with you in a heartbeat. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Email me if you're still hanging out here watching. That was July of this summer. And here's another one by Noel Saza. A few of us recently got a wake up. We have some kind of government people running an operation tracking the creatures. Myself and 2 other friends came across a team of them. When going back to a location to look at tracks, they were there. No punctuation, all right? Let me try to read this smoothly. Myself and 2 other friends came across a team of them. When going back to a location to look at tracks, They were there. We've had a lot of activity in the area. My friend was in the military for over a decade. He picked up on key points. They were well trained in conducting a search. We are aware that they started to watch us and have been monitoring us since my friend has photos of the creature taken nearby, definitely not a man in a suit. We're all a little worried this is the government. They don't waste time and money like this. Everything adds up, and definitely don't do conspiracy theories. The pricks are onto us. All right. There's another... these are the first time I've read these, you guys. I would love to hear what you guys know and what you've seen. I'm sure there's a whole pile of people here that would love to see the photos. Crazy. Email me. Share my story at howtohunt.com. I want to hear from you guys. I especially want to hear from you guys if this is all true. I have a huge question mark when it comes to organized, armed, the guys in black, whatever you want to call them, running around the woods when it comes to this topic, because I haven't seen it myself yet, and I don't know anybody who has. That's a big question mark for me. I'd love to hear from you. Here's another one from John C. Winchell Jr., 2873. I was putting ripper teeth on a D8 cat at 5 a.m. up in the Granite Basin at Pearl Lake in the Sierra and Nevada Mountains in 1993. When you're driving the pens in, it's like hitting a big Liberty Bell with a hammer. I started hearing wood knocks back, and knowing no one was up there over my tracks because I hadn't built the road yet. First, I thought maybe someone on horses was camped splitting morning firewood, but every time I hit strike pin, I would get answers back with wood knocks. Later that day, I seen what was making the wood knocks. Obviously, they didn't like me being in there and decided to push my truck around. With 1,000 pounds of tools and 1,000 pounds of fuel in the back. Needless to say, I carry my 7mm rifle on the cat that day with a constant feeling of being watched. I sent this story to Steve years ago. Now that I can't remember more detail, I should resend it to him. Hangtown? Okay, John. Signs off, John. John, send it to me again. I don't have... I guess if that's... Who knows what your email is, right? I can only go by maybe possibly your handle in the comment. Let me screenshot that right now, just your name, and I'll hopefully remember to do a search. I want to hear from you. Big time. Wow. There's so much that we don't get here. You know what I mean, in the way of knowledge? You imagine how much we don't get in the name of knowledge. In the way of knowledge, sorry. As we do get a lot. But who knows what the percentage is, how much we get compared to how much is out there. You know? Especially just from people listening. Let me scan down here, see if there's anything else I need to get. I don't think so. I don't think I have too many more screenshots of these comments sent to me. All right. Okay, moving along. All right, fresh out of the pan and into our hands, we have some emails here. Hi, Steve. I'm Dan from Mississippi. I drove an 18-wheeler for about 20 years. I did 3 years in the Army, trained in identifying aircraft in the 73 Infantry Division from 85 to 88. In 2010, I was driving down Highway 6 going from Clarksdale, Mississippi to Batesville, Mississippi. It was about 3:30 a.m. or 4, and I saw a Black Panther run right in front of my 18-wheeler. I was doing about 62 miles per hour, and this cat from tail to head was as long as my truck is wide. I was so close that I saw his undercoat. It was yellow with black rings like a leopard. I called the game warden's office immediately. People need to know these cats are out here, but the game warden called me a liar and hung up. What an outstanding citizen in the community he must be. Outstanding. My point is, if they're not telling us about these cats, what else are they hiding? Sincerely, Don Stringfellow. P.S. I don't care if you share my name. Don, appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. And, the common thing is, what else are they hiding from us? It's just, all we got to do is make sure that they don't count anymore. It's all about us. That's why we're here. So, F they. F them. Kick them to the curb. Kick them to the curb. Who gives a shit about they at this stage of the game? Anyone who supports for or works for they is an absolute loser currently today, on average. Not them all, but on average for sure. Absolute lost souls. Taking part in withholding valuable knowledge and information from fellow human beings during this lifetime. What a shameful position. What do we got here? This email is titled, Michigan Suspicious Handprints with Photos. All right. Hi, Steve, and everyone in the Howdown community. Thank you and Sarah for feeding the hungry children. Yes, you can use my name. I'm Donna Morgan from Indian River, Michigan. You have read a previous email of mine, and there's been a lot of possible Sasquatch activity on our property for decades, but no one talks about it. Just me since about 2013, or admits to seeing one. And I believe I had a glimpse of one once. Well, we've had something happen last December 2024 that I've debated about sharing and finally decided to do it. Who knows? It might help someone else with making a decision to reveal their experience. You probably will. Probably will. I have photos. I don't know which way to send them to you, so I'll put them in this email and hopefully send them as attachments to this email. That's the way to do it. Discovery of a large and small handprint on my husband's pickup truck. A GMC Sierra 4x4 1500 series, twin to a Chevy Silverado. So there is a size difference for the photos. A size reference for the photos. This happened 2 separate times, 2 days apart. Explanation and details to follow after the photos here. 29th December 2024 at 5:30 a.m. Sorry, the photos have to go as an attachment won't load with the email. 31st December 2024 at 5:20 a.m. Handprint from December 29th, 2024 at 5:30 a.m. This is a large handprint. My husband is 6'5" and a heavy 300 pounds. He can easily palm a basketball. And this handprint is larger than his hand. Too bad the photos aren't better, but he was in a bit of a hurry leaving for work, so we used his cell phone camera. When he came home the previous night, albeit December, and we get dark early, he could still see fine with the last daylight and our outside yard lights. There wasn't any marks on the hood of his truck. You know, it's the normal thing getting out of your vehicle and do the once-over of glancing at it as you walk by. He would have definitely noticed this obvious handprint if it was there then. So, he got my attention while the next morning walking to his truck to leave, and he stops abruptly, backs up and calls me over to him. Yes, I'm one of those wives that waves and blows kisses when he leaves. God bless you. The handprint is on the hood, driver's side, and 2/3 away from the windshield on the edge of the hood. Very obvious, being lit up by the outside yard light. We quickly look at the rest of the truck for any other markings, and nothing. Take 2 photos. This is the better, while trying to debunk it for an animal, but it doesn't match anything we know. Not a raccoon, cat, bobcat, squirrel, a possum, or bird. Like an owl wing mark. Black bear? We didn't think so. It would have had claw marks or at least scratches from his claws. Not a muzzle imprint of deer, which we have plenty of, whitetail. We look on the ground for any tracks, but it's December. Any snow we had melted away from being warm in the daytime. We have a hard, dirt mixed with pea stone driveway, but the ground is hard. Hubby doesn't even leave footprints with his heavy weight. Small handprint from 31st December 2024 at 5:20 a.m., 2 days after the first handprint. This small handprint was left on the pickup truck hood, driver's side, but this time about 8 inches from the windshield, higher up on the hood than the larger handprint. It looks similar to a human palm print. We did thoroughly clean off the hood, erasing the large handprint 2 days earlier. So this was a clean hood. Once again, not there in the evening, but obviously there in the morning. This handprint is about my size hand, which is about 7 inches long from the tip of my middle finger to the base of my palm. I inherited my mother's big hands. This handprint is much smaller than the first one left 2 nights previously. Magnify this photo, please, and you will see dermal ridges all over it like a huge thumbprint. Do animals have dermal ridges? I'm not sure, but I think they have pads. Maybe you can answer this question, Steve, with your wildlife knowledge. We went through the same questions trying to once again debunk the print as from a known mammal or bird wing, but nothing made sense. Plus, it was higher up on the hood than the previous larger handprint. We noticed only in the photo that there looks to be a fingers/handprint lower than it, but I think it has something to do with the flash of the cell phone camera and the vehicle paint. Part of our debunking process was to eliminate a human handprint. Did someone in a parking lot brace themselves against the truck hood so they wouldn't slip on ice? Most would have had gloves on. If not, would their hand be greasy like that? Also, the hood is pretty high off the ground. If someone was going to slip, they would most likely make contact with the side panel and not the top of the hood. Hubby tried replicating the print on the other side of the hood with his bare hands, and he couldn't. The weather at that time was quite mild for us in the tip of the mitt of Michigan. In fact, roads were bare and wet. We live in the country, not urban, but country with hardwood and softwood trees and pine and spruce trees with plenty of bushes and shrubs. We live on a dirt road where we can not see our neighbors because of the woods. We did not see what left those handprints on our pickup truck. We are not saying it was a Sasquatch. We don't know. It's just more continuing strangeness that happens on our property. Some thoughts from listening to other how to hunt community voices. A thought about Sasquatch throwing large stones in the water while people were fishing. Majority of people think Sasquatch is trying to scare them off. Could be. But another thought would be scaring the fish away so you would be fruitless and move elsewhere. They stay hidden. Could be they just don't want you catching their meal. If they wanted to scare you, all they have to do is show themselves, eh? I've included a photo of an 8-foot-tall man, Mr. Robert Wadlow, so people can see what 8 feet looks like against normal height people, just to give a visual of what the height and body size is of what people are seeing. I believe the normal-sized man next to him is about 5'10" to 6 feet tall. What a comparison. My thought on conical-shaped head. I think it's their hair on the head that gives the appearance of being conical. My hubby has thick hair. He keeps it very short like a military buzz cut or similar to a high and tight. When his hair gets long, like 2 inches or more, it doesn't lay flat but stands up like a hard bristle brush. When he gets up from sleeping, his head is conical, from being shaped by his pillow laying on them. Now, if people are seeing a bald or hairless Sasquatch head with the skull being conical shaped, then my observation is blown to the wind. But if they are seeing thick hair on the head with a conical shape, who knows? It could be the hair being shaped from how they position themselves to sleep. Good point, you never know. Could be cowlicks, right? A common cowlick pattern in their hair, for sure. Because I don't think we have heard of anyone saying there was one of these bald people seen with a conical bald noggin on him. As Sarah refers to, it's the cul-de-sac. She had her hairstyling salon for quite so many years, and she said when somebody balds all the way around, it's a full cul-de-sac, they call it. Interesting if anybody's seen that. Anybody's seen a bald, hairy person, one of these unacknowledged peoples in the forest with a bald conical head? Let us know about it. Steve, you and the How to Hunt community talk about how we were educated in our public/government schools, how we've been misinformed to many things. I agree wholeheartedly. It's a curious thing to me that when we see Sasquatch, we instantly want to run. We think monster. Could be the fight or flight response, and seeing something huge, we know we don't have a chance, so we flee in fear. So then, why don't we flee from horses, elephants, bison, giraffes, etc.? Why? Because we were taught not to fear these animals, because we are man, human. We are the apex predator, and these animals should fear us instead. And unfortunately they do. But then tell me why early man, Cro-Magnon, or Neanderthal hunted massive beasts, such as the mastodon and woolly mammoth. They were huge compared to the primal Homo sapiens species. Look at the movies from the 1950s with monsters, like The Creature from the Lagoon, Godzilla, King Kong, etc. We've been programmed to fear these monsters. Steve, you brought up the subject of waterways and Sasquatch, proximity to them, like creeks, streams, rivers, the riverbed, the creek bed, and how they commonly produce the odd Sasquatch footprint. How it seems that near these running bodies of water seems to catch the Sasquatch unaware of our presence or approaching presence. Could it be that the running water disrupts the natural magnetic field of the area, and by doing so has decreased Sasquatch's capability of sensing us? Or could it be that Sasquatch meditates around the water, going into a calm trance, as if the water hypnotizes them into a mental state of being unaware of its surroundings, causing them to put their sensory shield down? How many people have mini waterfalls or gurgling water devices in their yard or home for the soothing sound? I know I've been in the woods and have gotten very calm, absorbing all the energies around me, all the aromas and fragrances, all the sounds of nature that have lulled me to an open, eye-stared trance of completely calm with a golden feel engulfing me. Maybe this is what happens to Sasquatch by these waterways, making it one of the most common places to have a visual of one of them. It's been brought up about how much detailed descriptions are of the face of Sasquatch when seen. I see it being similar to when someone is in a bad situation and a gun is pointing at them. All they can see is the barrel of the gun, not the hand holding it or the face of the person holding it. We zoom right in on that gun barrel and facing you. Is the danger in our mind creating fear? The same thing can hold true with Sasquatch's face being zoomed into. All of your vision is focused in on the face, what you perceive as the danger, the threat. Also, probably the shock and amazement that it looks very much like a human and not an ape or an animal. I've not yet heard or read anyone saying, "It looked like a fierce animal threatening me, so I shot it." I know this is long, please just bear with me. You tell us all the time, quote, "Tell me everything," end quote, so that's what I'm doing, haha. And you do ask these questions and bring up these topics and invite us to give our thoughts on them. Steve, you asked, why are we being lied to? It's simple. It's a control thing. At least here in the USA, our government wants us only to know certain things and only what they want us to know. It goes back to Europe in the archaic times of the Catholic Church and the kings/queens. The common people were uneducated, did not know how to read or write or even do simple math, and that's what the church and royals wanted them to be. Uneducated and dependent on them for any knowledge. Aha! Now the church and royals could play God to all the commoners, telling them exactly only what they wanted them to know about any subject, and the commoners would have to take it as the truth. So if the church and royals said the commoners were to bow down to the ground in their presence, then so be it. The church only told the commoners what they wanted them to know from the Bible. The commoners were to memorize what they were told. There was no question because they were in awe of them. They spoke well and had knowledge. So the same goes on now centuries later. Just that it's our governments that are doing this to us with their back pocket helpers, the mass media. I get very disgusted when yet another person I know says, quote, "But they said it on the TV news," end quote. Like as if someone talking head on to the boob tube was the all-knowing, good-preaching, God-preaching Bible. It's all about control and trying to keep the citizens in an uneducated and awestruck state of dependence. People have to snap out of it. and think for themselves and verify facts. Liars are manipulators, deceivers, lowlifes that cannot look you in the eyes. They're not your friends or looking out for the best for you. Concerning Sasquatch, the problem is that we're only working with human known sciences. We keep forgetting that there are many universes out there. Why must we just limit ourselves to only thinking within the box instead of outside the box? We have no other science than human approved sciences because we don't have another communicative life form from another planet that sits down with us and shares knowledge. Well, they don't sit down and share it with general public. Anyways, I'm sure they're sharing it. Now, wouldn't that be nice and change things drastically? I encourage everyone to think out of the box, no matter how absurd and fantastical it seems, and share your thoughts. A while back, you asked about our economy and if it's affected us. Of course it has. It's ridiculous how expensive things are, especially food products. Being in the USA, in my opinion, things were turning around and improving in leaps and bounds in the late 20 teens. Then 2020 happened, and everything went to hell in a handbasket. Everything keeps increasing in price except our wages, and then when we get a monetary raise, the health insurance takes a leap into space with new premium prices. Same with auto and home insurances. Recently, you've been pondering about going out and meeting with Sasquatch or putting yourself out there. I wish I could advise you on that, but it has to be your decision and yours alone. Listen to your heart, not just your gut. In my mind, they have been respectful of you as you have been of them, telling them, I'm not here to harm, I just want to hunt and go on my way. You've been left alone as you have left them alone. I truly believe you know exactly where to go, sit, and they will be there. Something I would suggest is North American indigenous hand language. Find someone who can teach you simple gestures like hello, peace, and talk. In the old times, the great nations would all meet. In the old times, the great nations would all meet. When there was a language barrier, they would use their hand language to communicate to each other. I believe the Sasquatch would recognize this and acknowledge it as an open hand. Whatever you do, do not smile. With all other mammals, baring your teeth is a threat. If you do go out, bring a few colorful marbles with you as a friendly gesture, or a bright-colored silk-like scarf that can act as a gift. Just tie it to a branch next to you or anchor it with a rock. Oh yes, tell Sarah that I've seen 2 green orbs in the woods too. Even got a photo of them. Mine were about the size of an orange. Appeared about 20 feet from me in the woods, then floated away in a straight line about 7 feet off the ground, then disappeared. Well, Steve and the Howard Hunt community, thank you for reading and listening to my saga of an email. I appreciate everyone and sending their blessings and good health to all. All right, I got you. I absolutely appreciate that email. Big time. So refreshing to hear a brain turning on its own and trying to figure this shit out. Love it. And I will add these photos into the video right away before I forget. I hate it. I hate it when I keep reading and I forget to go back and find photos that somebody included in their email. So I'm going to take a second out here and do it right now. All right. Moving along, I stopped and paused to put those photos in here, and then Sarah called me in for breakfast. So, where were we? Quick note, I was just reminded too, and I heard yesterday, those 2 hunters I mentioned earlier, the 2 young hunters that perished bow hunting elk, and I was under the impression that it was a storm took them out. It was apparently a bolt of lightning, a lightning strike killed them. Oh, that's sad. That's very unfortunate. But I guess it happens, doesn't it? Real shitty deal. And I've been up in the mountains guiding mountain sheep right up there. Excuse me, when a thunderstorm and lightning's gone by. Excuse me. It's very, very nerve-wracking. And the farther you are up there in amongst those lightning cracks, it's instantaneous, and the thunder is louder than anything you've ever heard. And it's like crack. You're so close, the lightning cracks, and the thunder the thunderous sound from it is instant with it. It's like a gunshot right there. It's very, very scary. Prayers and thoughts go out to the family and those close to those two young men and the young men themselves, huh? One more email fresh out of the pan, and then we're going to get moving on with the day. Hey Steve, I sure hope this is a correct email for your YouTube channel. I've been wanting to share for quite some time, but want to be respectful of others who needed their stories told. I've been following and liking your videos for about 3 years now. Thank you for giving us a place to feel safe and heard. Well, here it goes. I've attached a Word document, and I will paste my encounters storied below as well. Tight lines. Hope I can use your name. Joey Lopez. Hey Steve, hope all is well. My name is Joey, and I currently live in New Jersey, 15 minutes outside of New York City. No, I'm not a communist. I'm a freedom-loving 31-year-old American. I don't even know why you'd say that. Communist never came to my mind. Random. I've been following your channel now since early 2020 and feel it's time for me to tell the community of my experiences. While I have never seen one with my own two eyes, I have heard, felt, and been harassed by them before. Personally, I believe these interactions have happened because they know that I know. Based off many of the experiences you've shared here, I believe these creatures can essentially read our thoughts. Agreed. Well, Steve, I'll do my best to clearly describe my experiences in southern New York and northern New Jersey, among the Appalachian Mountains. My first experience with something out there is a little lame, but it really opened my eyes. Steve, like yourself, I'm an avid fly fisherman. I religiously fly fish the upper Delaware River in Catskill Park, located in southeastern New York State. One afternoon, I drove downstream from Hancock to a relatively popular spot on the Pennsylvania side of the river. I typically show up after the crowd, so when I arrived at the parking spot, there were a dozen or so trucks there. This parking area is on the same side of the river. Opposite the parking lot and river is an immediate steep forested slope. On multiple occasions, I felt something was watching me here, as I visit the spot often throughout the season. This evening was no different. As I got my gear out of the car, I could not shake the feeling of being watched. I turned around, faced the steep forested area across the street, and spoke out. I'm just getting my gear and going fishing. I'll be out of your space soon. I respect you and do not wish to upset you. I turned back to my trunk and resumed getting my gear. Only a couple seconds went by when somewhere up on this slope, a massive tree came crashing down. I did not see the tree come down, but it sounded like it was falling on top of me. I then realized there was absolutely no wind that day, not even a breeze. Nothing had changed in the environment that should or could explain why this tree went down. Of course, it could have been that tree's unlucky day. Perhaps tree was destined to fall. Yeah, right. My second encounter took place about 40 miles north of that spot, again in the Catskill Mountains. I had tagged along with friends to experience my first ever white-tailed deer hunting camp. Early, our first morning, 4 friends and I saddled up to dive up the mountain and get set up on the power lines which cut through a friend's farm. I would not be hunting, but my years of stalking brown trout transferred to a solid foundation in white-tailed deer hunting. And as we walked the power line, I felt the party was too big and convinced one shooter and one other to set up on the intersection of 3 game trails. We settled on a massive boulder on the uphill side of the power lines. This spot provided ample cover, excuse me, while also giving us some elevation to have a great view down the mountain and over the game trails. Excuse me. As we sat there bullshitting, we all began to hear footsteps coming through the woods above and behind us. Then we heard what sounded like laughter. A child's laughter. My brain immediately registered this as a young boy who must have been trespassing onto the farm to do some hunting. And a smile came across my face as they continued to head closer and closer to us, laughing occasionally as if he made a great escape off the property. And just when this man should have come into view and walked right into us, the sounds completely stopped. We sat there holding our breath, waiting, but no one ever showed up. And what I heard that morning was crystal clear. There was no mistaking what my ears were hearing. The third experience is by far the most terrifying experience I've ever endured in the outdoors. As I mentioned, Steve, I'm an avid angler. For those who pursue brown trout, they eventually learn the large predatory browns are nocturnal animals. During the summer months, I night fish. For anyone who has not gone out into the pitch black to pursue these fish, you need to. Between the house? I think you meant hours. Between the hours of 12 to 4 a.m., lakes and rivers are entirely different fisheries. Don't believe me? Venture out during a June/July night and experience it for yourself. I'd planned to meet two friends at Sterling Lake in northern New Jersey. I arrived around 11:30 p.m., and my buddies were already out on the point fishing. To get to this small rock peninsula, one would have to walk past the large visitor center and walk about 400 to 500 yards along a lakeside trail. This trail is 10 to 15 feet away from the lake banks, most of its length before dropping into a pool-sized bowl. When one comes up out of this bowl, it's another 20 feet, and you're at the outcropping of rocks we fish off. Once I passed the visitor center and began my short walk along the trail, I was hearing something follow me. Like so many of the experiences shared here before, it was mirroring me step for step. When I moved, it moved. When I stopped, it stopped, until it didn't. I had an incredibly powerful flashlight, and you could probably see me from space, so I knew I'd be able to light up whatever was following me. And it was then fear began to set in. Something was not right. And as I dropped into this poolside bowl, all hell broke loose. Before I get into this next part, I would like to add a few things. This event traumatized me so much, I forgot it happened for some time. My heart rate is climbing, and I'm beginning to sweat as I write this. Steve, for this story, I want to add that I'm an athlete. I played Division I college football at the University of Miami. I want this to be known not for my ego, but to try and help the listeners know I've been around some of the most athletic, fast, and juke-capable humans on planet Earth. As I dropped into this bowl, which is maybe 50 feet across, and dropped maybe 10 to 15 feet to the center, whatever was following me decided it was time to change my life. The brush and trees around me erupted into violent shaking. I turned on my flashlight as whatever this monster was ran circles around me. He was behind me, then to my left, my right, in front of me, behind me again. Over and over this thing harassed me. It was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It was so close to me. There was absolutely no way I should not have seen this creature. There's absolutely no explanation as why I could not see what was running circles around me. This is not dense old-growth forests where you cannot see beyond 10 feet. I would have seen a chipmunk if it was there. And all throughout this terrifying episode, I was screaming for my friends. Screaming and screaming and screaming for them. I finally entered fight or flight, and I took off up the bowl towards where my friends were fishing, utilizing all this 4.4/40 speed. When I came up over the crest, my two buddies were standing there 25 feet away, perplexed. "Did you not hear me screaming for you two?" I immediately yelled at them. "Why did you two not come? What the F? Do you two not want to effing hear that?" Sorry, did you two not effing hear that? Their response to this day has left me shook. They told me they could not hear me, that I sounded far away, and they couldn't make out what I was saying and figured I was just trying to locate them. Steve, I pissed my pants. I was so afraid. These were maybe 30 to 40 feet away and didn't hear. Oh, I think you meant these guys were maybe 30 to 40 feet away and didn't hear dick. I've never screamed so loud in my life. How in God's name did they not hear me? What makes less sense to me is how I could not see what was right in front of me. It was moving faster than any human, bear, cougar, or any other known animal that could potentially occupy the area. A crackhead high on meth most certainly could not have surrounded me while shaking the forest everywhere I looked. I've never and will never return to that lake. My fourth and most recent encounter, once again, took place in the Catskills. Last June, I set out north for an overnight fishing send. A buddy and I arrived at the reservoir around 12 a.m. and planned to fish through 3 a.m. Fishing was slow, so we decided to head out around 2:30. When we arrived at the car, I was hearing what my brain interpreted as a semi-truck or some sort of vehicle approaching. I instinctively thought this was a car approaching because I regularly make this mistake. I confuse a road that meets the country highway. I confuse a road that meets the county highway I was parked off being much closer to where I was parked than it is. As this noise continued to get louder, my sleepy brain woke up and I remembered there's no road over there at all. The road is a mile down the street from where I stood. Suddenly, I was listening to the howling scream of a woman coming from the effing woods. This was a real, oh my effing God moment. Mind you, Steve, all this was in the span of about 4 to 5 seconds. I immediately yelled out to my buddy to get in the car, and we peeled the F out of there, Steve. I had to drive past the area the screams are coming from, and as we drove past, there was no denying what we were hearing. The screams of a female were coming from the wooded ravine. I called the local police department. God forbid someone was really getting hurt, but they sure as hell were not about to go. Check it out. I told a few people about this encounter, and they have all tried to convince me it was a bobcat, a coyote, or a bird. Let's get one thing straight. I know exactly what I heard that night, and I can hear it right now as I type this. Steve, thanks so much for providing the platform for so many of us to feel heard. I've been made fun of a lot by people I considered friends for sharing these events. It's very refreshing to know that I have a safe community to learn from. I began following your Instagram, and I'm so inspired by your life and character. I love your outspokenness against these China-worshipping commie/fascist hybrid scum that do everything in their power to destroy freedoms, lives, while stuff their mouths and pockets. We need to do some steelhead fishing. I hope to swing to the Dean, the Skeena, the Nass, the Kispiox, northern Vancouver Island. Perhaps we can link up one day and chase some chrome. Thank you again, Steve. Feel free to use my name. Tight lines, Joey Lopez. You get a hold of me, Joey. We'll go fishing. In a heartbeat. Even up north. I'm down for going up there and having a partner up there. And there's lots of crazy shit going on at all those rivers you just mentioned. Side note. And there you go. Welcome to the club, Joey. You know you're not the only one, right? That reminds me, too, out your way, your neck of the woods. I was in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, years back. I'd gone to the Poconos to see some friends, and then I was made my way back to Pittsburgh, got a room, and I was taking a cab to go to the Sportsman's pub bar. Bunch of great guys owned it. They had all their deer hunting pictures all over the place. I've been taking there before, and I was going to go down there and have a few beers and some bullshit sessions with these great people. And an older black fella was driving the taxi cab that I was in. We're driving along. Just it's so funny how common it is, right, for me to be aware of. We're driving along. He goes, "Where are y'all from?" I'm actually from British Columbia. "Oh, wow. What are you doing here?" I just told him, I guide people from all over the world. I made a lot of friends, and during the off season, I go and visit them all when I get invites. He says, "Huh." And then he's pausing or driving along. He goes, "Y'all got those Bigfoot out there in British Columbia, don't you?" And I go, "Well, actually, yeah, matter of fact, we do." He goes, "Huh. You ever seen one?" And I go, "Yeah, I have seen one, actually." He goes, "Wow, no kidding. So is my wife." I'm like, what? Here I am in the middle of a big city with an elderly black man driving the taxi cab in the last place I would have dreamt somebody's going to bring up that they or somebody they knew seen one of these hairy upright beings. But there you go. That's how common it is, right? Everywhere in the world, everywhere you go, every group of people you come across, if somebody in that group hasn't seen one of these beings, they know somebody that has. That's how common it is. That's how common it is. What a great effort they put forward to deny this fact. Isn't it amazing? That effort, that successful effort that they they have thrown down is incredible. Pretty impressive. But anyway, there you go. Another day. A little quick recap. If you're in Canada, do not give up your firearms. Period. If you do, you're an absolute loser. You've lost. You're not free at all. Not that any of us really are anyway, to a point. But if you do, shame on you. Don't do it. Ever. What else? The ostrich farm. Sarah just gave me an update when you had breakfast. She said RCMP removed the family from their own property the other day. You imagine being one of those guys that they went through all the training and the courses, whatever it took to become one of the what used to be highly respected RCA, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police of Canada, right? They used to have the reputations of going after them, getting their man, getting the bad guys, going through with dog and sled dogs. Tough, respectable men. Now they're just merely doing the deeds of dirty, filthy, tyrannical people in a position called government. Right? It all is a display of power. It's like, no, you're going to do what I say. No, we're not. There's nothing wrong with our 400 ostriches. Everything's fine. They've been tested and they're fine. No. You do not. You don't talk back to me either. You're going to do what I say. This is in Canada, Stan. If you don't do what I say, well, I'm going to go get the henchmen after you. Well, they used to be very respected Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers. Now a lot of them are just henchmen. They're just goons, armed goons to do the dirty work of the tyrannical, criminal government pricks here in Canada, Stan. How embarrassing is that, right? How embarrassing is that one? Anyway, there we go. What else? I think that's about it. I think that is about it. See what comes tomorrow. Make sure you do what you love to do, all right, at all costs, and protect it, and spread it and share it. And don't be scared. Speak your mind, speak the truth, all right? And expose dirty, filthy souls that have a massive negative impact on you, your family, and your community. Okay? If you need somebody like me to help share that word, I'm your man. Back tomorrow. I want to see, another side note, eagle feathers. What's coming next around here? I haven't a clue, but I'll keep you posted.